We often observe the immense role dairy plays in the Western diet, the slathering of butter, the generous pours of milk. For those in Asia, this level of dairy saturation often begs the question, why this profound reliance? Why is the dietary landscape so radically different from our own? The sheer volume tells a story. On average, a person in Europe processes approximately 250 to 300 kilograms of milk and dairy derivatives every year, quantified as fluid milk equivalent. This staggering figure is typically 3 to 4 times the average consumption rate seen across East Asia. To put it into sharp local relief, in Vietnam, the average annual per capita consumption hovers modestly around 25 to 30 kilograms, meaning many Western European nations consume 10 times that amount. This consumption isn't merely a matter of taste, it is the foundation of a colossal industry. Economically, dairy farming is a crucial, deeply embedded pillar of the European project. The European Union collectively stands as the undisputed global champion in milk production, commanding roughly 20 to 25% of the world's total supply. Powerhouses like France, Germany, and the Netherlands contribute monumental figures, producing tens of millions of tons of milk each year. Consequently, butter and cheese transcend being simple foodstuffs. They are instruments of massive export revenue, core components of agricultural politics, and symbols of national economic might. Historically, butter held a precious status, often fetching a higher price than meat during certain eras, particularly when fresh food was scarce in the deep, unforgiving winter months. This elevates butter far beyond a mere condiment. It was concentrated solar energy, a crucial store of calories, and a lifeline that enabled populations to endure the continent's harsh, protracted cold snaps. Anything essential for survival becomes deeply ingrained, immutable, a fixture that resists removal from the cultural plate. The critical question then remains, what confluence of factors drove this widespread, almost obsessive European adoption of dairy? The primary answer is etched into the very landscape. The vast temperate grasslands, the iconic terroir that stretch uninterruptedly from the green pastures of England and Normandy through the lowlands of the Netherlands and into the alpine foothills of Germany and Switzerland. Grass, not grain, not fruits, is the central protagonist in this dietary drama. The simple ecological chain dictates everything. Where lush perennial grasses flourish, cattle prosper, and where robust cattle thrive, the abundance of milk, butter, and cheese inevitably defines the local cuisine. Humans lack the physiological apparatus to digest cellulose, but the bovine digestive system, specifically the ruminant process, performs a biological miracle. It converts indigestible, widely available grass into a constant, highly nutritional food source, milk delivered reliably, independent of specific harvest seasons. The pre-industrial age, a world utterly devoid of chemical fertilizers, high-yield engineered crops, and reliable refrigeration, possessing such a consistent year-round caloric supply was a treasure beyond measure. The cow, in essence, served as a highly efficient mobile energy factory fueled entirely by the wild bounty of the meadows. Grass grows, the cow consumes, and people harvest milk, a simple, sustainable loop that ensured survival. Contrast this simplicity with the arduous requirements of rice cultivation, the cornerstone of the Asian diet. Wet rice agriculture demands extensive, flat, flooded paddies, prolonged water retention, and a distinct period of intense, sustained heat crucial for the grain to successfully head and ripen. The European climate and topography generally fail to provide this trifecta. Faced with this fundamental choice, expending backbreaking labor on unpredictable rice fields versus the relatively passive stewardship of cattle grazing, the European decision was overwhelmingly pragmatic. They embraced the cow, the milk, and the field, thereby charting a distinct culinary course diametrically opposed. The grain-heavy, water-intensive traditions developing across Asia. Milk, while life-sustaining, suffers from one major inherent flaw, its extreme perishability. Left at ambient temperature, it sours within hours. Survival hinged on solving this logistical problem. It was this urgent necessity for preservation that gave birth to the foundational pillars of European gastronomy, butter and cheese. Butter offered the most immediate solution. Through the process of churning, the milk fat is meticulously separated from the water and proteins, concentrating the caloric energy into a dense, semi-solid form. Cheese represented a more complex mastery by introducing cultures for fermentation, curdling the milk, pressing the resulting solids, and then aging the mass. Ancient Europeans created a product designed for longevity. For the early European populace, cheese wasn't a gourmet indulgence, it was highly engineered survival fuel, the ultimate mechanism for conquering winter. The long, frigid seasons demanded a constant, high-octane energy supply to offset metabolic heat loss. Fat excels in this role. The sheer caloric density of butter on a piece of rustic bread provided enough sustained energy to power a peasant through a demanding morning's labor. Like carbohydrates, which offer a quick spike followed by a drop, fat provides a durable, lasting sensation of fullness. Perhaps the least obvious yet most vital factor shaping the European dairy preference lies within their very anatomy, the European gut. Across the majority of the global population, the ability to digest lactose significantly diminishes after infancy. This is the natural state. However, in Europe, millennia of intense pressure fostered a dramatic evolutionary shift. Individuals possessing the genetic mutation for lactose persistence gained a distinct survival advantage. They accessed a continuous, clean food source that others could not. Consequently, Europeans can often consume fluid milk without distress, from infancy well into old age. With milk, butter, and cheese readily available, their assimilation into the daily culinary practice was inevitable. The European kitchen began to forge a distinct style, one characterized by less reliance on water-based methods like steaming and boiling, and a greater emphasis on dry heat applications, roasting, pan-searing, and oven baking. Butter, favored for its rich aroma and high smoke point, naturally emerged as the primary cooking medium. The oven, a symbol of sustained high-heat cooking, superseded the communal pot of boiling water that often defined the center of the traditional Asian kitchen. Consequently, the pervasive presence of dairy in modern European cooking is the culmination of an extremely long, deeply logical chain of ecological and biological determinism. The necessary conditions existed for grass to thrive. Grass fed the cows. Cows produced an excess of milk. Milk was preserved into stable butter and cheese. Human anatomy adapted. And finally, this mechanism manifested itself in the culture and the kitchen. The story is mirrored in other grassland regions, notably with Mongolia, a nation of endless steppes where nomadic culture is intrinsically tied to high dairy consumption. Turning back to Europe, the sheer scale is striking. Take the Republic of Iceland. The average Icelander consumes between 22 and 24 kilograms of butter annually. By contrast, in many Asian nations, the annual consumption might only range from a fraction of a kilogram to 1 kilogram per person. France, often lauded as the definitive kingdom of cheese, offers a deep dive into dairy culture. With a catalog of over 200 distinct varieties, the national devotion is undeniable. The typical French citizen consumes between 25 and 27 kilograms of cheese every year. For the French, cheese holds no special ceremonial status. It is utterly quotidian. Meanwhile, nations like Germany and the Netherlands demonstrate the industrial might of dairy. The Netherlands utilize its highly engineered landscape to rank consistently among the top 5 global exporters. The Dutch possess some of the highest per capita grassland acreage in Europe. Their cows enjoy extended grazing, which translates directly into exceptionally high milk yields. A revealing cultural indicator is the breakfast table. In Northern and Western Europe, fluid milk is an essential staple. In countries like Sweden and Finland, the daily consumption rate among adults often soars to an astonishing 70 to 80%. Contrast this with East Asia, where the rate typically dips below 20%. A fascinating geographical split exists concerning the primary cooking fat. North and West European nations maintain butter as their dominant medium. Firstly, the southern regions, Italy, Spain, and Greece, favor olive oil. A typical French resident might consume 7 to 8 kilograms of butter yearly, while their Greek counterpart may rely instead on a vast volume of olive oil. Takeaway is clear: the need for fat remains constant, only the source changes. It is crucial to re-emphasize that cheese represented one of humanity's most successful food preservation technologies. Throughout military history, durable cheese was treated as a premium logistical resource, packing an immense caloric punch necessary for endurance on long campaigns. From a nutritional standpoint, milk and butter deliver essential fats, protein, calcium, and fat-soluble vitamins. In the low-light conditions of European winters, this was a vital public health measure to combat rickets and osteoporosis. The biological barrier provides the ultimate explanation for why fluid milk never naturally infiltrated traditional Asian diets. Even when introduced through globalization, cultural adoption struggles when the fundamental physical response, discomfort and digestive upset, remains unchanged. The stomach's intolerance effectively blocks the cultural habit.